it's not about me and my rights. Now, obviously, there are some people who, for health reasons, can't be vaccinated. Different question. But it's not about me and my rights to choose. It's about how I love my neighbour. To love one another, as Jesus said, get vaccinated, get boosted.
Wow, the Holy Father slapping away the woman's hand. You can see here as he headed to the center of St. Peter's Square, the Pope yelling at her to let him go. Now, afterward, the Pope was visibly upset.
The Pope is mad. The Pope is a mama.
I was about to say, looking like someone's mama.
Bay the Pope, all dressed in a woman's outfit. The Pope is ticked. Bay the Pope.
Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. Beware of false prophets who come to you in stupid clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Hello and welcome to the channel, Darkness to Christ. Today's video I'm going to be explaining why Christians should stop following their leaders. Okay, now I did a video a few videos ago saying why Christ doesn't belong to Christians, and I think it may have got misconstrued, or maybe the title wasn't entirely correct. But people or Christians aren't happy with the fact that I'm criticizing Christianity. Now, I still absolutely stand by the point of my video, but I want to clarify, I am not having a go at what you'd say is the everyday Christian as such, or the sinner. I'm not judging them or hating them for being fallen. In many ways, I'm criticizing Christianity and the Christian leaders and saying that the fact that Christians are such a mess in terms of they continue to sin shows that it's a teaching of the leaders. It's the blind leading the blind and justifying their own sin. And many Christians who are decent Christians will come on and say, oh, you can't lump in the bad Christians with the good Christians. And I do somewhat agree. And I think if you are living the righteous life as a Christian, you shouldn't have been offended by my video. But I absolutely stand by the fact that I believe that the Christianity and the Christian leaders are incorrect and a load of fakes. Whereas the true Father, the spiritual teachings, Jesus Christ's true teachings, not corrupted by the Bible, and what I'm talking about as a man of God, maybe not so much a man of Christ, but a man of God, I believe I'm telling the absolute truth. And it's similar, what I'm talking about is to what Jesus talks about. Because as you say, Jesus said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites, you shut the kingdom of heaven in men's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let in those who wish to enter. And I think it perfectly sums up what I'm talking about. In that these leaders, the Pope, the Archbishop of Canterbury, likely your priest, your ministers, they're blind. I can see it clear as day. They don't have a clue what they're talking about. They're very religious. They've probably been to university and studied the Bible and got all their degrees and read the Bible front to back. But what if it's all false? And it leads to blindness. And it doesn't free people. It doesn't enter you into the kingdom of heaven. You know, when Jesus said, enter the kingdom of heaven, it means to be spiritually reborn. It's not intellectually knowing the Bible and dogma. You need to be spiritually reborn by being still, fasting, meditation, and listening to spiritual masters. That's how I learned, by listening to spiritual masters. And then you enter the kingdom of heaven, and all of a sudden, you can just see. Everything's clear as day. And you see these spiritual leaders walking around in their silly clothes, and they just look like idiots, with all due respect. But I have to use strong language because you need to stop listening to them. They're fakes. If you can't see that, then you're blind. And what upsets me is, when I criticize the sinners, if you want to use that word, and say Christians are a mess and they're hypocrites, I don't mean any will to the sinners. It frustrates me to see them in the state they are, when if they listen to true teachers, they wouldn't be in a mess. So we need to reflect the glory of Christ rather than Christianity, which makes a mockery of Christ. And my goal is to bring people into the kingdom of heaven. That's why my channel is called Darkness to Christ, because I believe darkness is if you just live in the flesh, and Christ represents the spirit and entering into that kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of Christ is the kingdom of heaven. And I've entered into the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Christ, and I want to bring people from the darkness into the kingdom of heaven. Whereas the religious leaders, they haven't entered and they're shutting the gates of the kingdom of heaven in your faces. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, then you're not in the kingdom of heaven, and your leaders have shut the kingdom of heaven in your face. And I'm trying to get you to enter. So though you may be angry at me and criticize me, I'm actually trying to help you. And it's the same thing that happened to Jesus. He was trying to help the people, but the leaders didn't like it. And thus they brainwashed the people into asking for Jesus to be put on the cross rather than Barabbas. And that doesn't mean that I'm comparing myself to Jesus. No, I'm just simply a man of God. And I'm like a disciple of Jesus. And I'm trying to get his true message out as he'd have liked, rather than a message that was made up by the church. And also, as Jesus said, you will know them by their fruits. And if you look at the Pope, if you look at the Archbishop of Canterbury, we all know that there is the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. And the kingdom of darkness has an agenda. You know, the pharmaceutical companies want to make money. The military industrial complex want to make money. They want to make money by shipping people from third world countries into our countries. And the NGOs make a load of money. And we all know that this is going on. And you'll know them by their fruits. The Vatican and the Church of England are promoting and going along with the kingdom of darkness. They're not going along with the kingdom of heaven. So you'll know them by their fruits. And also the Archbishop of Canterbury, I saw a video of him talking about how he suffers from depression and he takes depression pills. Again, whilst I have sympathy for him and anyone with depression, my point is no spiritual master or leader should suffer from depression. If you're in the kingdom of heaven, depression and darkness does not exist. Darkness cannot exist in the light. And again, people will say, oh, you're being mean to people from depression. Depression isn't curable. But as it says, Jesus wept. You know, I weep, not literally, but in my spirit, when I see people suffering from depression, because I know that it is curable. And through spiritual rebirth, you can overcome depression. You know, it's not something that is incurable. It is incurable if you live in the flesh, but if you're born again in the spirit, boom, see you later, depression. It's gone. Okay, so that was the point of my video. I want people to understand. Stop following the false leaders. Stop following false dogma. Stop following false religion. Follow the true teachings of Christ. Be spiritually reborn. And listen to those who are awake rather than the blind people who are keeping you away from the kingdom of heaven. And I have love for the Christians. None of the stuff I say means to be mean or disrespectful, but I have to be strong sometimes in my language. You know, as Jesus said, you know, woe to you hypocrites, you generation of vipers. It's to wake you up. You know, you must do better. We must do better. If we're here to represent God, you know, it's not something that you just do for the sake of it. You know, I think a Christian, if you're to be called a Christian or a man of God, it's like if you want to drive on the roads, you have to pass a test. You can't just drive a road, you have to pass a test. So I think to be a Christian or to call yourself a man of God, there's certain standards you have to be required and expected of you. You know, people shouldn't just call themselves a Christian and then go out and sin and sin and sin and sin, because you're making mockery of God and you're making a mockery of Christ. So we have to have standards, and we need to ask each other to live up to those standards. And when we're asking each other to live up to those standards and we're asking for them to be met, it's not a judgment, it's just a standard that is required. Okay, so that's the point of my video today. The usual stuff. If you like it, comment below if you have any comments. I always love the dialogue, and God bless everyone. Goodbye.